Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Strawberry Sundays podcast. We have Mick G Production with us today. Mick, how are we?
Yeah, we're doing good. Coming into the last few days of university, so a bit stressed, but one day at a time. That's all we can do.
Yeah, so straight off the bat, shout out Mick. He's still grafting his uni and he's still found the time to come on. So I really, really do appreciate that.
Uh,
Thank you so much.
the least I can do. Like obviously working in time. The one thing about being freelance is I can choose my own times, but I love podcasts and I love like especially people who do good for the community. So it's quite easy to find the time when the justification is there. So if anything, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be asked.
I love that. I appreciate the gas. We'll get straight into it. So if you want to go dive into a bit about yourself for anyone in the chat who doesn't know you and your content.
Yeah. So I go by MickGProduction. I have kind of two brandings, I'd say. Some might know Beyond the Mind, and then others will just know my freelance, which is MickG. My clothing brand, which you can see behind me. It's possibly like my most loved creation. It's called Beyond the Mind, which was originally set up for mental health awareness. So I split the profits. The reason it started was actually quite a dark reasoning that turned into a positive, which was like my last hurrah, I guess you could say, being that I suffer huge mental health problems. So I decided that I got the opportunity to make the brand, went for it, did it, and then from it, it just kind of ended up taking over, I guess, like my lifestyle. It's you had Kyle on before me, and me and Kyle are quite dissimilar. He's the Kaizen crew, and I'm like also very much all for the Kaizen thing, but my thing is kind of beyond the mind, which are both similar things in the sense of improving lifestyle. And then from that, you also have my freelance career, except I don't know if people actually know anymore if I do freelance video production because I'm always streaming. But yeah, just a streamer, just a content creator, trying to make a person smile a day is my motto.
So let's go into sort of behind the mind there for you. So
Mhm.
um so like you say, you've created the brand yourself, and 50% of the revenue goes to charity. And I
Yeah.
mean that's something special in its own there. So do you want to go into a bit about like sort of so when you've picked up this brand, the designing that goes behind closed doors, anything like that at all?
Yeah. So I love fashion, like in general. Like I've like ADHD, so I would say I'm not academic, but I'm very observant. So like when I see like something that satisfies me, like I could be staring there for, I could genuinely sit there for days and break down the elements. Um, so DLC, the clothing brand, came to me and asked if I'd like to open my own store. And I was kind of thinking about how if people are going to spend their money on me, I don't want anything to do with my brand, right? Like in the sense of I don't want people to have like a MickG camera going around themselves when, you know, I don't need the extra finances and I don't really want to boost my content side of things because ultimately I always say that I'm not a full time streamer. Whether I'll be a full time streamer, I'm still very much about my production because I love telling the stories. So they came to me. I was like, "Can I do something bigger? Can I make a brand?" Which came from Dreams Clothing, the inspiration, who also do mental health profits. So they were like, "Yeah, you can do whatever you want. We'll back it." And then Mink creates. Shout out him. He was the guy who sat down with me for the whole season one. I gave him the ideas. He drew them up, and from there we got pretty much as close as we could in the time for the clothing brand itself. And then, season two now in the works itself. But, it wasn't even a stress thing or anything. It was just if I had the opportunity to go big or go home, I'm gonna take the opportunity to go big. I wasn't expecting near the support, uh, near the support it got, but it got a lot of support, and yeah, like I said, it's from that it's more of a lifestyle. It's a clothing brand in theory, but I've a few plans to expand it into being an actual charity case itself. So
I think a lot of people, like you say, you're very sort of surprised in terms of the support that it received on social media and that sort of thing, and especially the people, purchasing the brand. Um, but I think I've mentioned this in a number of podcasts. The amount of sort of gamers and people, creators, and everyone within the scene. There is so many people that do suffer and go through dark times, and so many people that can relate to these sorts of projects. And a lot of people will not have that confidence to speak up or
yeah,
to do what you've done, like you say, and create a positive out of a negative. And I think these sort of products are huge for people. Like you say, there could be someone that's in a very, very dark place, sees sort of a brand like this that says, "Do you know what, I can relate to this," gets themselves a hoodie, and that could make them just feel so, so much better. And I think, again, that in its own is inspirational. I've said that to you. I've said, you know, even within my tweet, I said that I am truly inspired by the way you conduct yourself, especially with Beyond the Mind. I think it really is truly incredible. What you've done. And again, I do think there is a hell of a lot of people, even that might not have retweeted or liked or whatever, but there's a hell of a lot of people that would have helped
yeah,
and gave them that, again, giving them that platform to just speak up and feel comfortable speaking up with. Because I don't think that in gaming it's not necessarily um, it is looked down upon when someone or certainly it was. I think the times are changing, but yeah, it's still coming across as a negative to a lot of people, which and stuff like that really does change it to a positive. Um, so well and truly take your hats off for you there. So sort of we'll go into sort of gaming itself,
mhm,
and then we'll come into sort of the production side of things as well.
yeah.
Um, and just get a sort of dive into how it was sort of growing up and how you sort of got your first gaming and production sort of and how they started interlinking. So first sort of gaming experience that you can remember, or sort of like yes, sort
Yeah.
of console or PC based.
So I go way back. So the first time I can like proper remember when I knew like gaming was kind of always going to dictate my future was my brother got an Xbox and Halo 2, and I got playing with him. And like my brother's 3 years older than me, but I was just walking on him. We would play private games, and I would always just absolutely walk on him. It wasn't even like competitive when me and him played. And that kind of like became the hook. I'm a really competitive person. I have been near all my life. Um, my mom tells me stories of like how stubborn I am. Like there was a time where I was a little like kid and I wanted to go for a walk and it was raining and I was like we can go for a walk, and my mom used to be like no, it's raining. I was like, it's not raining. Like I just refused to accept anything that could stop me. And gaming is kind of where I fell into that suit. And then from there, I was playing all the Call of Duties growing up, as well as I went to school to play rugby. And I guess where like my main focus turned from rugby to gaming was I suffered a really bad concussions playing at a high level rugby. And it got to the stage where the doctor just said you can't get into any more contact sports. So when like I heard that, as heartbroken as I was, it kind of spun me mentally downwards. And gaming was kind of the escape that I had. I was always part of the gaming scene. I remember like being subscribed to FaZe Clan when they were on like 20,000 subs. Like I've been one of the few to see how fast like organizations have grown and stuff. but it was kind of then when I really laid all my focus in. Uh, so I take a year out from gaming and a year out kind of my lifestyle, and I moved to Argentina, and I come back from Argentina a year later. And I work in a ham factory, and my friends are like, "You need to play CS:GO. You need to play CS:GO." So I work in this ham factory to buy myself a PC. I buy the PC, and then I'm like, "Okay, like I'm just gonna see what this hype is about." I start playing, and like that's when I found my replacement for my competitiveness. That was it. Um, just started competing as much as possible. Got to, I'd say, like a good level, a level I could be proud at. And then I kind of realized that, like, I ain't ever gonna beat these 14-year-old Danish kids who are dropping out of school. I could see that it was too competitive. I didn't have the time to compete. I went to university. I was falling into a drug trap in university from depression, and I was like, I need to stop all this. So I got into production from that. But in terms of gaming, I've been gaming for as long as I can remember. And it's never been like casual gaming. It's always been the competitive side. So
Yeah.
it makes sense why I work esports. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's been
Okay.
it's been a, it's been a journey.
Yeah. So, sort of, because the majority of the competing side of things with Call of Duty, it's mostly Warzone, obviously
Yeah.
that you play, and any sort of tournaments that you're involved in
Mhm.
are all sort of Warzone based. So has Call of Duty? I know you mentioned briefly about CS:GO, but has Call of Duty sort of been your main
Yeah.
sort
So
of focus growing up?
so obviously, I only came to streaming during COVID. I've always been streaming for like 3 years, but like on off. And then I would say I've been working like near full time esports for the last two. But I've always worked in the Call of Duty you know, aspects. I worked one Halo event, but it was always like CDL or CWL was where I was like going for LAN events to record. But then COVID happened, and shout out Angus. I came across Angus's stream, and I was like, damn, this kid has a lot of problems. Like, but he's still streaming. Like, if he can stream, and face these problems and try and make people stay, then I can. And then from that, I just found Warzone the easiest game to stream. Like, because obviously I'm not going to be the next Jukies, even though I tell them to chal me all the time. But I know I'm not going to be that level. So I found Warzone was the area where I could focus. On building my community more than anything. Because I don't stream for the money, and I don't stream to compete. I just stream because I have the time, and I know, we live in a very negative world. So if I can make a person smile, or if I can do something that's positive, I'm gonna do it when I can. Because life's too short. I always say to people who are going through a hard time, they feel like a failure, and I've always said, well, if you feel like you can't talk to society, then who's the real failure, you or society? Because ultimately, we always need each other to move on in the world. Everything was created as a team. Light bulbs, Edison had his Edison factory, and yeah. So I've always been focused on Warzone more as when I die. I get very upset when I die, which my viewers will be able to tell you. But it's always been that aspect of Warzone was the ground game that I could focus, multitask. I guess the easiest. So I don't actually like Warzone. It's heartbreaking. It's truly a heartbreaking game for me to play, but it's definitely the easiest to multitask.
Yeah, and I think, like you say, I think a lot of people find that sort of the rhythm with Warzone where
Yeah.
it's a reset. You die, you reset. It's just kind of like you say, it's an easy thing to interact with people that you're streaming with, and like you say, to keep you entertained for that longevity of the stream.
Yeah.
So sort of like you say, you went to CS:GO. Did you then stay on a few PC games, or was it all just
Um,
CS:GO then straight to Warzone when that sort of transitioned?
I would say it was CS:GO with a bit of PUBG, and then like when Valorant came out, I found Valorant too easy. so I just
Mm.
stopped playing. Like that's the thing about me. Like I'm very I need a challenge, right?
Yeah.
Like I need feedback all the time on how I can improve. And when Valorant came out, it was just a beta, so obviously you had a bunch of different player bases. I mean, if I went to Valorant now, I'd probably get smacked around. Um, but at that time, because I came from like 6,000 hours of Counter Strike, I found Valorant just too easy. Like I was dropping like 30 kills all the time, and it just got to that stage of where it was just boring me. So like from that, I went to Warzone because no matter what you say, I like, and I know this might upset a few of the bigger streamers. There's never going to be that number one player, um, because the game is so RNG. And even though I know the game's RNG for a lot of the tournaments and stuff, you know how your lobbies are, um, that RNG filter will play into my head of I can improve, like I can do better, I can
Yeah.
continuously strive until I'll be the best. So I'm well aware I'll never be the best, but it's that like it's that aspect in my brain to allow me to continue playing.
Yeah. And I think that's like, you speak about like, it's within your brain and you have those thoughts, but
Yeah.
that sort of self-achievement of you knowing that you're hitting PBs, you're doing this, you're doing that, like that, yeah, you can see the progression.
Mhm.
And like you say, whether, you know, like same as myself, I still play Warzone. I know I'm not going to be, the next best thing, but like you say, hitting your PBs, getting a dub with your
Yeah.
pals and little things like that, like you say, very rewarding. Um, and yeah, good for your sort of growth on that.
Yeah.
So we'll go into sort of the production side of things now.
Hmm.
Um, so talk to us a bit about how sort of you then went from gaming and then sort of transitioned through to sort of the production side of things.
Yeah. Um, when I realized that like I wasn't going to be a professional player, like my mom is a journalist, so I've always had a production background, um, very basic production background, but it was the concept of it's why I love movies so much is you build your own movie, you build your own story, um, and as someone who's faced like I guess you could say a dark room, production and editing and creating stories, even that never gets shown, was that escape of my Hollywood. Not Hollywood, but like my light in a dark
Mm.
time. So I used my production like basics, and I worked a terrible job just to build up enough money to send myself to my first event, which was CWL BHAM. Um, and I just took as many videos and as many photos as I could, all on my own budget, just so I could build something to start my portfolio. And from that, I got a few offers to go to another event, which was the HCL Champs, and it was the same thing. They paid for my expenses, except a lot didn't get paid for. I won't speak too much on it, but um, it was the first time, like, which kind of really hit mentally was like I got heavily scammed going to
Mm.
a world championship event with the top six Halo team in the world. And it kind of played on my mind if this is what I want to do, if this is the area I want to work. And then you fast forward and like just them two, my first two LAN events got me nominated as the videographer finalist in the UK. And from that, it was kind of like okay, I'm going to continue down this road, and that's just where I've been ever since. Um, I don't know if I'll stay in COD. I'm kind of hoping to expand, and I've had offers to expand, and then COVID happened. But yeah, it's just been about writing stories that haven't been told, especially in the gaming industry. Is kind of what I love to do, because the area, as as many problems as it has also been very good to me. And it's just writing them stories that have not been told.
So that's not the only achievement in terms of like being nominated, is it? There's a
Yeah, I was nominated back to back videographer finalists. So from 18 to 19 and 19 to 20, I was both finalists among some of the best names in esports, which to me is way like to me I'm overrated when I'm sitting beside these guys. Like I'm like how the hell am I sitting here? Um, and I think people ask me like, "Oh, is that not your greatest achievement?" And I was like, "No, the greatest achievement was Film Charles, the G2 videographer, saying he's a fan of my work. He DM'd me and he was like, "Oh, I'm a big fan of your work." Like that to me was the greatest achievement because I've been looking up for these guys for years. I've been looking
Yeah,
at their work and I've been going back and I've been studying what they're doing and how can I adapt to it, um, to use it in my style. So, like as silly as it is to just be followed and get a DM like from them has been pretty much the push I needed to do, um because I've tried to stay freelance for as much as I can, while they all have budgets, so it is very difficult, but as a freelancer to get nominated among the best names in the world, um yeah, it was definitely the mental push I needed to do to stay, I guess, and actually work on my productions.
I mean, not only to do it once, but to go back to back
Yeah,
is is
it's
crazy. That's
back to back, and now I have a documentary. Obviously, there's been no LAN events for the year, so I've just finished a documentary, which I'm hoping to release soon. Hoping to get the third time, back to back to back, but we'll see. We'll see. I know it's a lot to do with your community and who nominates you, and that's the biggest blessing I've had, um, is to look back at who supports me. I have a very loving community. I have a very loving stream. They've supported me so much in that sense, and they've helped me, put money towards my camera. Like I'm 70% there to getting a new camera. Um, I've had people like Kyle, like me and Kyle go back to December kind of thing, where he's been very upfront about my ideas, and we've talked in multiple directions, and yeah, like I've been very lucky to have a community that supports me, but not for the reason of just like support of a yes man, but actual support, telling me what I need to do, what can I do, and keeping my head level for when I go into a dark time. They give me space, and they're always there for me. I've been blessed. I know every streamer says that they have the best community in the world, but like to me, like if someone offered me like 2,000 viewers that were just going to be toxic, like a lot of big chats, or to stay on 10 viewers, I'll take my 10 viewers any day of the week. I don't need a partnership. I don't need anything like it because I work in production. So I've been blessed. I've been blessed truly.
I think though it's such a humble approach, and again, that's something that is such a good trait to have. But in the same sense, like your work clearly speaks for itself. You're clearly up there with one of the best to do it in your in production. So that's that's crazy in its own sense. Um, you know, you can have all, like you say, you can have all that support all you like, um, but your work really does show, how good and how experienced you are within that field and how much it means to you to make these videos, make these productions, and sort of you're putting your whole self into these videos. And again, it's like you say, it's to tell a story. And yeah, I'm really excited for this documentary. We're gonna show love. Everyone in the podcast, we're gonna be plugging it.
Yeah,
We're
but
gonna we're
it's,
gonna we're gonna show the love. Um, so we've kind of already gone back to sort of like your first gaming experience and all
mhm.
that sort of thing. And you mentioned briefly regarding your production side of things and your sort of first experience with like the Halo teams and those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So when did that sort of transition to Call of Duty? Was there sort of like offers from teams within Call of Duty that wanted you to be their production team and their cameraman, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I don't mean this at all in an egotistical sense, but genuinely just from a sense of competition. I don't know a single. I know a few other videographers, but I don't know a single videographer who works in the amateur COD scene, in Europe.
Mm.
So, um, you see, I'm what I like to say about myself is like I hold really high standards to my work, but I'm really good at marketing myself. Um, so after I worked with Dallas Lines, who sent me to CDL, Minnesota, and Paris, I had Team War. I made it like 60 seconds video for Team War because I saw they didn't have any videographer, and I was like, okay, I'll just quickly put something together. And then COVID hit, and I sent it to them, and they were like, oh, like it was their first championship. They were like, this means so much. Like, thank you. And I was like, oh, it's the least I can do. You know, you're a big team. You've got big names on your team. You know, like it's just my gift to you as a championship winning thing. And the owner of that hit me up, and he was like, can we bring you on board? We're going to bring you on as an editor. And that's kind of where I realized that if I wanted to survive during COVID, I'd have to step up my editing game and become not only a videographer, but like an editor that people can come to. And it's just been that kind of, that like playing field where I think like my standards have gotten to a stage of where amateur orgs, and some pro teams have come to me as well, but it's gotten to that stage of where you need an edit, you go to him.
Mm.
Warzone, you need an edit, you go to him. I worked with Luke Dutch on his TikToks. You know, you need someone to do TikTok editing, you go to him. And it's not because, like, you know, it's not because my skill necessarily, but it's because I marketed myself to be that guy. You know, like I've always put 100% of myself into my projects. I don't just sit with Luke and give him his TikToks. I sit with Luke and I go through marketing strategies with Luke. You know, I worked with Kyle on the marketing side of Kaizen. You know, I was getting 4 a.m. phone calls, like, and I'd be at them 4 a.m. calls for Kyle because, you know, if I'm investing my time, I'm investing myself. It's not just money to me. Like I lived in a situation where I didn't need money. You know, I saw what happiness truly was, which was when I was in Argentina. So money, like money's to pay the bills, but the projects I will only invest myself in if I believe in them. And I think that's what stood out to market myself as that kind of guy was, you know, there was a time, I think through 2020, I averaged like 1 hour 47 minutes for 6 months straight sleep, you know, like because I'm doing university full time.
Mm.
I'm university, editing, videography, bartending, streaming, literally every day on this grind, on this thing. And that's
Yeah.
what people don't understand is like, you know, I was doing everything and anything I could to keep myself afloat as well as build my community. Um, and that's the thing. I don't see many editors, many videographers in the COD scene doing that same thing. And you know, I have no problem. I share work with other editors who I think are better projects. So it's not exactly like me saying I'm the best, but it's like I just don't think a lot of editors market themselves in a way that an editor should. And because of that, like I'm kind of the go-to person.
Yeah, I think I can relate to that in terms of how we like to run the podcast, where you know you want to be the best of the best within the boundaries that you set, whether that be
Yeah,
Europe, whether that be the world, whether that be just in the UK. Like there's certain boundaries that obviously you need and targets that you'd like to hit, and I think that's why from my perspective, I love having people like yourself, like Kyle, like these people that have this inspirational mindset that I can then learn from, I can benefit from
yeah,
to then better myself, better the podcast, better it for the people that have shown me the support. Because again, I've got the same sort of mindset as yourself, where I do this for the people that have shown me the support. I
yeah,
don't want to go in and give something a half-hearted, I wouldn't invite someone onto the podcast that doesn't genuinely interest me.
Hmm.
Because ultimately, if I'm not then interested, I may show that, and then again, my podcast wouldn't be to the 100% of my standards that I would like to set. And like you say, I don't think that's fair on the people that do support me. And I think, like you say, you have that same approach with your sort of editing. There's
Yeah.
no point you editing something and because you want to say, right, if I take this on board, I'm putting everything into this. So you've got to be ready for that. So if you want to bring me on, like you're getting the full me.
Yeah.
Um,
It's often the first thing I say to even Mike, because I work with Mike, I work with Gabe, and I work with worked with Luke. He doesn't really do gaming TikToks anymore. But the first thing I say is like yes, I'm being brought on as an editor, but you need to be well aware that if I see you do something I don't like, or if I see something that you need to improve on, I'm gonna tell you what you need
yeah,
to do. And I make it well aware. Like I've shouted at Luke, like this guy can break my career if he wanted to, like. But it's just that concept of being fearless. I'm well aware what I'm being paid for to do, but I'm well aware that like you can't just do something for the money of it. You need to be able to do it because you believe in it. And I believe, Luke is the number one streamer in the UK. Like I believe that nobody comes close to him necessarily in terms of his content and his entertainment side of things, as well as what he does for YouTube. And I know he's not in numbers or stats wise, he's the number one, but to me, he is just the most entertaining person because he mixes things up. And yeah, like I'm if I'm working with him, I'm going to tell him how I like things run, or not necessarily it needs to run by my watch, but if he's doing it, he has to give everything the same way I'm giving everything. So if I need him to sit down to go through figures to put together a spreadsheet, we're going to sit down and put together a spreadsheet. There is no I'm feeling low, can we push this out? I'll be like, okay, I'll be okay, yeah, we'll reschedule for 2 days, but I won't let him reschedule the second 2 days.
yeah,
Because my dad always said to me, the world waits for nobody. And it's as simple as that. You can cry about the cards you're dealt, or you can get up and you can just redeal, and it's okay to cry. It's okay to not be okay. But what really matters in the end of the day is that you stay fighting, and you stay fighting for a greater goal, which is life. Life is beautiful, and same with streaming. You can't stream for the money of it. People can tell you stream for money. You know,
mm,
you need to have a bigger goal in mind. And like Luke, I know behind the scenes, he's really trying to push for being a mental health activist. Um, and that's his goal.
yeah. And like I say, I think you have to have that right mentality. You have to have the right drive. You have to be doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Like you say, I feel that people will see through that, see through the money side of things, all that kind of thing. You see these big streamers that, um, if they sort of have a bad day with subs, what they normally would look at, say they look at 50 subs a day, if they're sat at 20 and they think they're about to end the stream, with certain streamers, obviously it's a podcast, so I'm not going to start calling people out,
Yeah.
but with certain streamers, you'll see that the mood will be down. You'll
Hmm.
then see a negative tweet follow off from it. That's not something that well, I'm not in that position. I'm not in that position where I'm relying on full-time content creation.
Yeah.
But the more you have that negative, negative presence on social media regarding the money side of things, it's not a good look. You've got to be doing it for the love, and you've got to appreciate every single penny that someone gives you, even if it's 100 bits, even if it's a £1 donation.
Yeah.
You know that £1 or those, that could be someone that could be a lot to someone else.
Yeah.
So people, regardless of what situation you're in, you should be appreciate. You should appreciate every single penny that someone gives you. And I think that's where, like you said, people like Luke and many other streamers really do push their content and really do, are successful because they have that approach.
Yep.
They don't, like, people like Luke doesn't care if it's a £500 donation or whether it's a £1 donation. He's grateful regardless. Um, and I think that's a huge, huge, you know, sort of characteristic to have. And even speaking to you, talking about, the beyond the mind stuff, that is that's something that you've got, and the characteristics you have, and you can tell that that's why you're successful in what you do. And again, like I've said, I keep saying it to you, and I don't care. I will carry on telling you how it is really inspirational that people like yourselves are really pushing on and really getting, the recognition and stuff with your production and things. And you mentioning these big names with all your editing, and it's really good to see that there is genuine people really getting to succeed now.
Yeah, I mean, it's spot on what you said. Like people often will come into my stream and they'll say like I'm only 14. I'm sorry, I can't sub. And like it's like time is worth more than money, right? Like when you work, that's why you're paid. You're using your time to work. You're paid as a reward. So like I say to anybody, like 10 minutes is 10 minutes more than they had to. Twitch is free. And I think people forget that Twitch is free, but it's a free streaming platform. That's 10 minutes more, 1 minute even. That's 1 minute they spent in my stream, more than they had to.
Yeah, and like you say, time is money. People are spending that time watching you than doing something else that they could be doing. So like you say, even people just coming by and showing the love in the chat and that sort of thing is, again, magical. It
Yeah.
really is. We'll go on to the next part. So we'll talk about sort of the next question, which is sort of the best content moment you've had. Now, with your production side of things, what we'll kind of talk about is them both together, whether it was content, whether it was sort of your production side of things as well.
Yeah.
What was sort of your best moment that you've had within sort of esports?
So production wise, it's a difficult one. I've had some. I would say there's two memories that stand out for two complete different reasons. One for the sense of achievement, and two for like as a confidence booster that I'm getting to a level I want to be at. Which was the first was I did a full documentary in Spanish for Spanish COD players, Puni, Nvidia, and Super, Yako, and Super. So to go to Minnesota, which is an American event, come back and edit a whole documentary in Spanish and translate it to English is a huge achievement. Whether the documentary is award winning or not, it's of course not. It was my first esport documentary. But it's that sense of achievement that I did it, and I did it on my own with the help of the translations, of course, from the players. But that was probably the greatest content, like esport wise, or Renegades asking me to edit their Valorant announcement video, which, Valorant is one of the, or will be probably one of the biggest esports. So to work with one of the biggest orgs in the biggest games and edit their announcement video was just a huge honor to have. And then on my content side of things, probably the greatest moment was talking about my life with Kyle back in December. Going through a really dark time. I was a few months clean from sober. I had a lot of demons, and I kept ending my streams. I kept starting my streams at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and then like tweeting like I'm sorry, like I'm just not in the right mindset, but never telling people why. So the best moment was probably sitting down with Kyle and talking talking about what's actually going on, because I like to give off that I'm a very positive person, and I like to believe I'm very positive to others. But it was getting so bad, I was getting so many dark thoughts in my head. Um, for a lot, just like I won't say it on stream, but you can imagine what the dark thoughts are being. So to be able to take the pain that was going on inside of me and speak to someone that I trusted, Kyle, on my stream, and his stream was probably the greatest content moment, because it was the turning point of when I realized how many people started messaging me after saying that they were struggling and how my streams have helped them, and me speaking has helped them. It was the turning point in me realizing that, like, I can't give up streaming whether I like it or not, because I can help now. Like, this is, I'm religious, so I was like, this is what God wants me to do right now. God wants me to stream, and it wants me to continue telling people that it's okay. It is okay to cry. It's okay to fall. It's okay to slip, and it's definitely okay to have our demons. But you just need to keep fighting. You need to keep fighting, and it will all work out. So I'd say talking to Kyle on that particular stream is a memory I will never ever forget.
Yeah. I mean, we spoke about it, on this podcast, and like I said, I've mentioned it. I mentioned it briefly on Kyle's and a number of other podcasts that we've had previously with sort of a lot of gamers, um, the sort of dark times that it can have. Because ultimately you are alone, you're in your bedroom,
Yeah,
regardless of how many people are watching your stream, regardless of how many different people you play Warzone with, that sort of thing. Ultimately, you are still alone in your own sort of space. And I feel that it's really, really good that people like yourself, like Kyle, really, offer um, help, advice, you
yeah,
know, just even somewhere it's just going to be like, look, jump in a call, get it all off your chest for half an hour.
yeah,
I'll listen. I'll just sit there, listen, and then that's it. As soon as you've got it all off your chest, and you think a lot of people need that. A lot of people do, and I feel that within gaming it is changing the sort of the stereotype of people being sort of weak and sort of narrow-minded if they're struggling, is completely changing, and it's becoming, instead of a negative, it's becoming a real positive, and people are really being able to help people, and I do think that people, again, like yourself and Kyle, are real advocates of being able to help within the community, um, and like I say, a lot of people come into streams and say, this is helping me through a dark path. And I think, again, that's the one reason why so many of us, enjoy even just jumping on a stream, um, playing Warzone, playing whatever you enjoy, just to
yeah,
give that enjoyment, to one other. If you're helping one person, it's successful.
yeah.
Um,
It's definitely, well, I think lower end streamers need to start focusing on more,
mm,
because obviously big streamers can't really build an interaction with their community. Um, it's why I think like us smaller streamers or smaller personalities need to focus on more, because people will show their support however they can, and them being in your stream is worth more than money. Um, but at the same time, you have, not even by like being there for them necessarily, as like going into a private call, because obviously streamers also suffer mentally, but you know keeping your stream positive and keeping an active chat, like actually communicating with your chat, because you'll see smaller streamers get like 4 viewers and someone will type in their chat and it'll take 5 minutes later
yeah,
to respond, and it's just like, how are you going to take 5 minutes? Like it makes no sense to me how in 5 minutes you have like finally someone typing in your chat, and you look all sad and stuff. And it's what you were saying earlier, is like the lower end of streams need to start focusing on the positivity aspect of, like, yes, your stream might not be growing, but now you have a chance to be part of something bigger. And eventually, if one person spreads positivity to another person and that person starts streaming, right? That's what happened with Angus. He was spreading positivity. I fed off of it, and then I started streaming. And you can build a cycle, that, like, almost like a dominoes effect of positivity, because we're at such a negative time in our world, so negative, possibly the most negative time we'll ever walk through in our lifestyle or our life. Now is the time where streamers need to come together and just, focus on building their community around that positivity aspect and getting the help they need, because a lot of people won't actually seek help and go to therapy or whatever. But sometimes, like, talking is good for you. It's just a fact. It's a fact of nature that talking is good for you. So
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we come on to the last couple of questions.
yes.
We've got one more podcast related, and then again the final question, the fun question. You know exactly what it is. But so the last question, we'll change it slightly because of your production side of things as well.
Yeah.
So if you could work with one individual or an organization,
Yeah.
whether that be to stream and just chill and just create content with, or whether that to be work on their production team, or that sort of thing.
Yeah. It's it's a there's so many people that I want to work with. Like, there's a huge amount of people that I want to work with. I don't know necessarily if anyone I want to work with on Twitch is where I want to go if I had the opportunity to work with one person. But I'd probably, if I could, like to go to maybe like so personally, I know where I'd want to work is Formula. I love Formula and I want to work on like McLaren behind the scenes thing.
Mm.
But if I had the opportunity to do an impactful thing, I'd probably choose like a huge football club and build a campaign. I would love to
Yeah,
build a campaign on mental health, because I know a lot of football clubs are trying to end racism and promote like positivity more, but I'd love to be part of it, like part of that campaign. I'd love to
yeah,
put my video skills to use for maybe Liverpool. I support Liverpool, so they're a huge club. I would love to be part of, given the opportunity to do something bigger. And I feel like whether it's my dream or not to work in Formula, given the opportunity, working the bigger pictures is always the better
yeah.
dream.
I think the way that you briefly said regarding a football club, I think that's a huge step which no one's really taken yet.
Yeah.
I know that there was that brief sort of clips with Jesse Lingard and the way that he sort of battled like depression and that sort of thing, and how he's getting back to his normal self, playing at West Ham, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really something that was like there was a real drive and a real campaign behind it. It was just the sort of, this is a clip.
Yeah.
But even that small clip had such a benefit within football, within the football fans. It was huge on social media. You think the amount of work, if you did it as sort of a campaign, the amount of like benefits it would have within, not even just within the football community, within just life in general,
Mm.
with football being a huge sport that it is,
Yeah.
that could be seriously something really incredible.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree. Because, like, I think the thing about esports is it's very still closed off to a lot of the world, while football isn't. Everyone in esports still has a football team pretty much, and then Formula drivers have, like, everyone kind of watches football as a hobby or a pastime. So I think, like, that's as big almost as you can get. But esport wise, I would also say like Team Liquid and working mental health, like working behind the scenes with game players. If I had to go esports, I would choose them.
Perfect. Okay, now is the time. So think very carefully. You've got 3 items. You've got one person to go with you,
Hmm.
and you are deserted on an island. Go. Who would you take? Well, we'll start with who you would you take first, and then we'll go with the 3 items.
See, man, it's even though I knew this question was coming, it's just so it's so like there's so many things. There is a person that I'm not going to say like Kyle that I would love to take, but for the benefit of the question, we'll go with someone. Wait, can they be dead? Like, can I bring back someone from
Yeah, yeah.
uh, um Martin Luther King?
Mm,
Um, because one of the things that I'm really into right now is learning about history, especially history that involves diversity and times of activism. So I'd say Martin Luther King. Um, probably I feel like we could have many discussions and good debates and actually spend hours or days or months. And the 3 items is man.
it's always it always stumbles people. This is exactly why I do it, because you can think so much about what you'd do,
Mhm.
and then when it's actually asked, you're like, okay, I
There's
have
a
no idea.
hundred things I would. It's a tropical island, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I'd
we'll
say.
say it's warm.
Okay, so we'll bring. I don't know what they're called, but the army use them. They're like the shovels with the axe built onto the side of them. So it's a multi-tool. So I can use it as a hoe
Yeah,
for gardening. I can cut down wood, and then I can use it as a shovel, right? So
as number one.
that's multiple things. I know many people don't know what they're called, but that's number one. So that equates for multiple things. Um, number two, probably Flint. I think Flint is very important.
Get the
Um,
fires and that sort of thing going.
yeah, so then I have the shelter and the garden. And then the third thing would be like like a huge rucksack of just multiple different seeds. So then I have the crops, I can have the tools that I can make spears out of and get the fish or the animals, and then I have the fires. And I have Martin Luther King to keep me company.
Yeah, you guys are surviving. You
We
you
are
guys have.
chilling. We are straight five, and we are, we'll sing the songs. I think, I think that's, I think, you know what? Ego. I'm gonna have an ego now. I think that's the best answer you've ever gotten.
I yeah. I think I agree with that. I think the very yeah. Well, I mean, we've had people say that they're going to take a bed. We said
Nah,
people.
bro, I've slept on the floor so many
Yeah,
times drunk. I'm chilling with the bed.
yeah. So bed's a luxury. You can make your own bed over there.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, no, yeah, I think that's 110% the best answer we've received so far. I think if you were put all of you on the same island but different bits, you and Martin Luther King, you'd outlive everyone. You'd
I
have your
think,
own
man.
little town. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you'd
he's
be
a
big
doctor
chilling.
for a reason, So he's smart. I'm not so intelligent. So I feel like we can use my skills of craftiness and his brains. Hey, I'm telling you, we could have the next America. We could rebuild. I'm telling you, watch out for it.
So we will leave it there, though. Mate, I appreciate you coming on. This has literally been one of the funnest that
I'm
I've been
glad.
involved with. I've said it to you from the start. Say it again. True inspiration. Um, all the stuff that you do within the community is mad. And I feel that a lot of people can sort of learn from people like yourselves, people like Kyle, and really, change their perspective on, you know, this industry, and really, start being positive, even within, a dark space. So again, really appreciate you coming on. If anyone has only just caught part of this podcast, again, it will be uploaded onto YouTube and then other platforms such as Spotify, so you can listen offline. Mix will be uploaded tomorrow, on Monday, guys. So yeah, again, appreciate you coming on.
Can I just quickly say, or
Of
if it's
course, no,
ended,
no, no, go, go, go.
because I see my mom in chat, and my mom was definitely watching with my dad. So I just want to say I love you both, and thank you for having to deal with my bullshit throughout the years. And but soon I haven't seen them for near a year and a half. Like I haven't hugged my mom, so I'll see you soon. Love you both.
That's what it's all about, and I love that. Shout out you both for coming and watching us. Um, your son's an amazing, amazing young man. Shouldn't really call you young,
Yeah,
what? Because you're probably the
mate,
same age as me, but
I'm 25 and like 10 like 10 days, 13 days.
yeah. So yeah, I'm 25, so I can still call you a young man for
Oh mate,
a bit.
I'm dreading
But
it.
no, honestly, that's a really, really good way to end there. Yeah, true inspiration.
No, thank
But
you for having me.
guys, thank you so much again for the support. Peace.